And so when we can when we can act and show people kindness, we can really make an impact. And as I say, one of the things I think is my gift is encouragement. And I think that people really need to be encouraged today in our society. And I'm going to give you some tips. So some people ask me, what should we do in these times? And people are talking about different things with the economy and the global economy and this and that. And so I got some tips for you today. I do. I have some things to tell you that what I do, and I share these privately with you inside our Insiders Club. And it's going to make total sense to you when I start talking to you about some of the things I'm going to talk to you today. But one thing that I learned, and there's so many people out there today online who are having a measure of success or pretending to have a measure of success, or standing in front of somebody's car, that doesn't belong to them and pretending like it's theirs and these kind of things. And in our world in the South, we call that all hat and no cattle. In other words, you're going to be a rancher, you got all hat, but you don't have any cattle. You got to use somebody else's. And so, my thing is just be true and just be real. I could probably buy a new car right now, but I'm driving a 2014 diesel Mercedes. You know why? I love it because I bought it to drive for a while. And, I like things paid for. I mean, I don't like a lot of debt. I'm adverse to debt in our personal life, but, we have smart debt in our business. And so it's just the way you look at things and the way you perceive things, and then the way other people perceive you. And so when people perceive me, I want them to say, gosh, that guy is so encouraging to hear him talk. He's so real. And, so many times today, people don't realize that God made you special. Just be you. Just be the best version of you can be. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I strive for every day. And I'm just excited about impacting lives all across the globe with the internet. Some people, there's always a negative and always a positive. Some people say, well, there's so much bad on the internet. And I say, well, yeah, thank God for the internet, because there's so much good on it too. Because I get to reach people all over. And my friend, Paul Joseph, is up in Canada and has a very successful business. And he's on this call with us today. And when I first met him, he and I just hit it off. I mean, we just hit it off, and we have been fast friends since. And I'm encouraging him in his business. And I want you to write his name down, because he's going to build a big enterprise. He is starting a transportation logistics company. And that's something I'm going to touch on in a little bit later in this program, because, food supply and all the things that are delivered to us, everything that we see and eat is done by transportation logistics. And a truck usually brings it to you. And as you guys know, I was in the transportation business for a long time. And I want to tell you some of the things I see in our supply chain today. And I also want to tell you some of the things that I'm doing to prepare myself for what I see might be coming. So, Paul, how are you doing today? Paul, you're muted.
Yes, I'm excellent, Joseph. How are you? Little
Good.
under the weather, but that's why my camera is off. I do apologize for that, but yeah, just a little under the weather.
Well, since you've turned your camera off, I'm going to tell people how handsome you are.
And I don't know, you're setting them up for failure.
I have seen firsthand, brother. Well, tell everybody about what you're doing and a little bit about your transportation logistics vision and business. And I'm very excited for you.
Yeah, most definitely. So my current business right now, folks, is a virtual receptionist company. So we launched last year. We've grown it to 50,000 a month in revenue right now within a year. So we pretty much handle phone calls for local SMBs. And within the virtual receptionist space, we've expanded into chat services for your websites, as well as virtual assistants, as well as voice over IP for local phone systems for businesses. So we are touching base on with our agents internationally. We have agents in North America, agents in the Philippines, agents in Europe for a lot of our clients that want multilingual support, as well as we're setting up a satellite, so to speak, office in South Africa to be able to touch on the talent pool over there. So the space is growing with everybody working from home, as well as um, the 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 norm of call center space is also going virtual, as well as a lot of the outsourced call centers are shutting down just because of COVID protocols. So the virtual space for us kind of took off. So that's where we're at right now. And with the logistics company is more of a pilot projects that Joseph and I trying to launch in terms of trying to emulate his success and to be able to put that towards a startup and to be able to grow it in a virtual space, as well as tapping into my resources with the virtual receptionist company, and to be able to use our outsourced talent pool to grow this logistics company. So that's where we're at right now.
Paul, tell everybody what city do you live in Canada?
I am actually in Edmonton, Alberta. The business is based out of Toronto, Ontario. And we pretty much have clients literally all over the world. We have client in Denmark, Australia, Canada, United States. Yeah, so it's vastly growing.
Isn't that fascinating? I mean, there are no boundaries to the internet. That's what I just said. I wanted you to hear him say it and validate what I told you earlier. There are no boundaries with a business on the internet. And Paul, would you down in the chat, let's open up the chat, guys. In the chat, would you put your website so people could look at that? Emmy, I'm thinking about you because he has a virtual assistant kind of business, and I know that's something that you talk about. And I want to make sure you look at Paul's website and what he's doing, and maybe you guys can exchange some ideas. Paul, anything else going on with the transportation logistics venture?
Yeah, so I'm also adding my website for the logistics company in the chat as well. We're not live yet, so this is what it's going to look like. A little bit of content is left to upload. I don't know if you see that, Joseph, but yeah. So that's the branding. That's actually the actual homepage, and that's where we'll be going. And I'm building the website myself.
Okay. So 24H for hour virtual.com. And then the logistics deal. That's awesome, Paul. Congratulations on your success. And I know how cold is it up in Edmonton today?
Oh, today is like -20. So we're it's family day up here, right? So it's a national holiday. So we're all cooped up indoors.
Oh, well, that's a holiday here too, a President's Day. But I wanted you to tell them it was -9 up there. My wife was complaining this morning because it's like 50 degrees here. I wanted her to hear a -9 figure. Honey, you see how fortunate you are today? But anyway, thank you, Paul. I love you, brother. And I just appreciate who you are. You're a man of great integrity, and you make me better. And I really enjoy all of our phone calls that we have together.
No, most definitely. Thank you for your humbling experience in terms of providing us with all your knowledge and especially time. That's the most valuable thing that anybody could give others.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Well, Paul, I tell you, I'm so excited about you. You remind me so much of myself years ago, just getting after it and staying after it. And God bless you, my brother. You're going to have great success in everything that you do. And I'm going to be standing behind you, cheering every step of the way. And I got your back.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Joseph. Love you as well.
All right. All right. Well, good. Well, Tom Henderson, I saw you came on. Welcome. Great to have you here today.
Good to be here.
Good. And great to have you here, Dave. Great to see you. Emmy, what did you learn from Paul Joseph?
Hi, everyone. It's so inspiring. Uh, I think I'll learn a lot from. Thank you so much for, um, sharing that information. That will also help me in my plan to, include the virtual support in my consultancy business. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to our meeting again.
Great. Emmy, without putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you beforehand, tell everybody just a little bit about you. I'm so impressed with you. And, sometimes in life, we're dealt a hard knock and so forth. And, we have to keep going. And sometimes we ask why. And I'm so impressed with this lady. She's what I say, she's got the goods, and she's going to be very successful. She's a tremendous leader and a great influencer and a great encourager of people. So, Emmy, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You're living in Arizona now, right?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. I live in Arizona now, but 2 years ago, I was in the Philippines. I was working in a multinational company. And then my best friend for 30 years um, married me. So I moved here in the US starting up. But unfortunately, 5 months after that, he passed away. And so I'm on my own and looking for ways on how to continue my life because I dropped everything in the Philippines. I don't have anywhere to go, but really find meaning in everything that happened in my life. And meeting Joseph and everybody else in Joseph's circle um, helped me look at the future with a lot of hope, a lot of encouragement, and inspiration. And I couldn't be more grateful for everything that God has blessed me with. And with that, the talent, whatever I have, I owe it all to God. And I know that He gave those things to me for a certain purpose. And right now, I'm very fired up because of Tom. Your post in Facebook saying that the same God who gave you the business idea will give you the clients. It fired me
Tom
up
Chester.
too. Yeah. And
That's
right
right.
now, I couldn't believe that 2 days after posting that, I claimed it. And true enough, right now, we're still in the process of completing how Joseph and I were going to put up the business. I already have 2 clients.
And that's something you
So
sound like Shane. You sound like Shane Forbes. After her first conversation with me, she had 2 clients. That's
yes,
great. I'm
thank you
so
so
impressed
much.
with you, Emmy. You blessed me so much. And you know what? God's got his hand on you, and you're going to be great, and you're going to be fine. And all of us are supporting you. We're your family right here, right here. Jennifer and I, you watch us. When we post something in the Insiders Club, we just say our family. You guys are part of our family. And you watch my response. If you send me something, except on Sunday until sundown, I'll usually respond right away. So I'm so proud of you. Mark Chua also is from the Philippines. Mark, would you put your email address in the chat for Emmy to have? And Emmy, you share yours with Mark. And Mark has been very valuable in helping me do a lot of things. And Emmy, he has great counsel probably for you as well in the Philippines too. So Mark and Doris live there. So that would be a good contact for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your story. We're so proud of you, and look forward to working with you. Talk to you later this week. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Shane, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great and all the better for being here today. I'm always so excited when Monday comes around. This is just the best, most positive group that there could be. And I'm so
Well,
grateful.
thank you. Thank you for you being such a vibrant participant. I'm so proud of the way you're developing your business. And as I tell people, you don't have to have a business to be in the Insiders Club. You know, you can just be a part of something that positive people are trying to move ahead in their life and trying to encourage one another, you know. That's the whole thing. I mean, I want people to be a part of what we're doing just to meet you guys, you know, to see how genuine and how real people are and how people from all states and all countries and everything are trying to move ahead in their life and be the best they can be. And by each one of us encouraging each other, that's what makes the world go around. So Shane, thank you. I'm so proud of you and you've done such a great job. What's the weather in Nantucket today?
Oh, it's a little bit chilly, but not as cold as it was the past couple of days when it was in the low 20s. So
All
it bounces around a bit, but you know, it's sunny. Never can complain on a sunny day.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, how are you doing today?
Great. Sorry, I done.
Yeah, how's everything going with your business? I keep waiting for you to book a call with me, brother.
We definitely got to do that. We've been working on the move. Things are starting to come together with that. We're signing the lease. You know, just really all the logistics that goes with trying to move a company keeps me quite busy.
Yes.
So
Well,
that's
those
pretty
of
much.
you who are listening, for everybody who's listening, Dave, you stay live. For everybody who's listening, Dave just moved his office and his operations. And you know, the first time we did our first call, Dave really gave a powerful testimony of how he went to work for a company. He was thinking about leaving the company at one and ended up staying, toughening it out, and ended up owning part of the company. So that's a great story, Dave. How's that going for you?
Well, good. I mean, there's challenges because we bought a company that kind of went off the rails a little bit, but I think the change with this move and all is definitely improving the financial picture a little bit. So I'm getting a lot of information from this group, and it just kind of opens my eyes to other things that might be able to help us. So I'm really, really pumped about this group.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank you. And tell everybody where you live, Dave.
We live in, I live in Gainesville, Georgia on Lake Lanier. Our business is south of that in Duluth, Georgia.
Right. Now, Gainesville, so everybody knows, Gainesville, Georgia. That's north of Atlanta, just to give you, all of you from all over the world, a kind of perspective on where he is. And so if you go north, is it on 75?
No, 985. You go up 85 and then
85, yeah.
Further to the north on 985, and that takes you up to the lake.
Right. So, man, it's great to have you as a part of this group, and we're very proud of you and look forward to hearing great success with your new company. And anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Certainly. Thank you.
All right, great. One of the things that, Tom, do you have anything? Tom Chesser? I want to come back to you.
No, actually, you know, I enjoy listening to each and everybody's story, you know, because that's what I'm all about is, you know, passing on the story, you know, but, you know, guys, and one thing I wanted to say, I think it was Emmy that mentioned the idea, you know, when you reach rock bottom, there's only place for you to go is to go up. You just got to look up because that's where your answers are going to be. And that's where the solutions are. And surrounding yourself with people like this in this room, you have insiders that can help you. Each and every one of us could probably add some value to what you're doing. So great job and beautiful testimony.
That's great. That's great. Lisa, I know you are on. Would you like to say a few words? Lisa Porter Lawrence is an artist, and she lives in New Mexico. And I've been working with her. I'm very impressed with who she is and what she's about and trying to do with her art. Lisa, you want to say a few words about your business or yourself today?
Well, I'm just happy to be hearing everybody's story. Like Tom said, really, it's a very uplifting group. Everybody has a positive attitude, and I bet there's not anyone present who hasn't had some serious challenges. So that positive attitude really means a lot.
That is so true. And life itself sometimes can be a challenge. And gosh, I don't know about you guys, but I need encouragement too. And I'll just tell you, Tom saw this happen today, but I tell you guys, before I start this call, every time my wife will come in here and she'll hold my hand and she'll pray and then she'll give me a kiss and we'll get started, right? Because this is all new territory for us too. I mean, I've been in the transportation and investment business all my life, and I starting this was new, and I had some reservations about if this is, am I able to do this, and so the response every time that I do this is overwhelming. That this is where I believe my direction of my life is headed, and what I need to be doing. It seems like, have you ever heard this phrase? All the things that you've been through in your life up until this point was a preparation for such a time as this.
Right. Right.
All the things that I've done, Lisa, in my life are kind of the preparation for such a time as this. And Lisa, why don't you tell some people a little bit about your website and your art, and so, and if we can, let's put it down in the, I don't know if you're able to type, but if you're not, maybe Mark, you can enter it in the chat for Lisa. I'd like for you guys to take a look at her website. She is quite gifted, and there's some pretty remarkable things she's done on there with murals and even furniture. It's fascinating to see how God is bringing all kind of people together here in this forum, and people are having success doing many number of different things. It's just so cool for me to see. So, Lisa, you want to say just a few words?
Well, I'll say that probably just like everybody else in this group, I feel spiritually inspired and spiritually awakened and spiritually driven every day. And I start the day by asking what the direction shall be. And it's not always what I thought it was going to be when I planned it out the night before. So that's probably why I have a diverse portfolio, lots of different stuff, but everything that I create, including the painted furniture, it's not merely a, as they say, a decorative venture, but it's a spiritual happening. And so I treat furniture the same as I would a canvas, and that it's an opportunity, it's a window to bring forward what I am guided to paint. And even if I didn't have a clue what I was going to paint before I started, I accept that what comes through is what somebody somewhere needs to see.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That's good. Well, let's put your website down for everybody to take a look. It's Lisa Porter Lawrence, LAWRENCE, art.com. Is that correct?
No, Lisa Porter Lawrence, LLC.com.
LLC.com.
Right.
Mark, would you enter that in the chat for everybody to have?
Sure. I did type it. It should be
yes.
there. Is it there?
Okay, great. I didn't see that. Okay,
That's
good.
okay.
Okay, great. I want you guys to take a look at that. And each week I'll ask somebody to put their website down there so you can take a look at it. So we all can refer people and help one another, like I did today with Paul and Lisa. But
Excellent.
anyway,
Thank you.
I want to go ahead, Tom. Was that you? Who was that?
That was me saying thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Tony Fightmaster, what do you got to say to us today? I know you're on it all the time.
Well, it's been a good start to the day, Joe. I was writing some thank you notes to generous donors, people that have been helping us with the mission here at the university. And that's always a fun thing for me, to write personal handwritten notes to people that are of like mind, and they care about our young people and care about the future. And so I was able to do that. And I told my wife that I'm going to be a movie star. There's a film crew coming in just a little bit that are they're shooting a commercial for the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. And I'm one of their successful hip replacements, Joe. You can relate to that. So they're going to come in, and I'm going to be part of a commercial up here in Chicago. I don't know if it's going to be outside of that, but so we're just squeezing fun stuff together today. It's kind of a fun day.
Good. I'm going to come back to you in just a minute. But thank you for that, Tony. And you were already a movie star in my book. So that should be a great commercial with you starring in it. I want to go to Tom Henderson down in Florida. Tom, how are you today?
Warm, nice, beautiful, sunny. Can't get any better.
That's good. That's good. What's a good word for us today from you? You're kind of a sage of wisdom down there.
Oh, yeah. I think this is just, just like with Paul and Justin there. I think the input from everybody and sharing. About 40 years ago, I was in construction, and we had about 20 guys that met at the restaurant first Monday of each month, from all different backgrounds, competition, everything. And just a sharing of ideas. I have no idea what Justin does or Tony, but sharing the ideas, and sometimes something they can't answer. Sometimes when somebody else from an unrelated field, you're discussing this together also. But did you ever think about this? No, I never. Yeah. So I think all of us sharing with our different diverse backgrounds, where we're at now on a scale of a 24-hour clock, I think we're about 2 seconds into it. What we're going to be able to share and grow and help each other's industry as we build this, we have no conception right now where this is going to be 12 months from now. But I think the sharing with each other back, I've been, when we were up there talking, when we had dinner with y'all, my daughter's got a promotional business, and Lynn and I help her with that. She has really been blessed in the midst of all this pandemic and everything else. This last year was better than the year before, and this year looks like it's going to be even better.
Wow.
She does over $500,000 out of her back room at her house, but it's a lot of work, sweat, and tears and sharing. But just like this here, I think we're going to be an asset to each other. And I think that's what's going to, a freight train starts off really slow till it starts getting momentum. And we're just in a low gear phase right now. But I think once we get momentum here, just being able to share is going to boost all of our businesses.
Yes.
That's my wisdom from Florida.
Yes, thank you. I agree with that. I love to hear you talk, and I love this man. I know him for a long time, and he is a man of great wisdom. And when I was down to see him in Florida, I was so impressed. He took me to they homeless, they feed a lot of homeless people. And he took me to this warehouse they have full of food, full of clothing, full of everything. And this man is a very successful businessman, but he also is a very successful man of God, and he gives his time and he gives his talents to those less fortunate.
We
And,
started out there about 20 years ago, and we started out with about 10 people, and we were helping about 15 to 20 people a week there. We've grown into a multi-million-dollar business now there. Well, not business, organization. We give out almost 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of food every day. We feed about 150 homeless and community people lunch every day. We provide showers, laundry facility. It's just amazing what God does when you just fit into it. It's amazing.
thank
You
you.
know, I want to think something about Joe. Joe and I, like he said, we go way, way, way back, almost 30 years or better. And just the outreach with no financial back and forth, either one of us, just the love that we've shared and opportunities we shared back and forth over the last 30 some years is just out of friendship and love, has nothing to do with finances. And I'm so blessed to have you in my life, Joe. Thank you.
I feel the same way. I'm so honored. I'm so honored for my family on the Insiders Club to hear you speak. And see, I know all that, but I wanted other people to hear without me telling them. But see, here's a lesson. Here's a Tom Henderson lesson for today. Behind the very successful businessman is the very successful man of God who is a philanthropist, who is giving away his time and money and efforts and organizing all these things to better the life of thousands of people who have come through needing a meal, needing a kind word, needing some clothing, all the things that sometimes we don't touch and smell and feel in our daily life. It's there. And so this man is doing it. And I know, Tom, every time I think about being there with you, it just really touches my heart. And I thank you for who you are and what you're doing for mankind.
Thank you for bringing this together. I think this is going to outgrow your imagination even on this one. I think this is going to be fantastic.
Great. Thank you. Are you guys ready for me to give you a little economics financial lesson today? Would you like that? All right. So all my life I've done deals and investments and handled large money transactions, wiring money to banks in Dubai and overseas and all over, and have been blessed to see a lot of things in my life. And so I have a lot of people that come to me and they say, we're living in a day that really disturbs us. We're living in a day of not knowing what to do or what we should do and how should we prepare. How is something coming that we don't know about? How can we prepare? Okay. And so I want to give you some information today that I would only give here because I feel safe to give it here. And one of the things that I think people need to understand, and now there's some people on the call from other countries, but I want to talk about the United States of America and where we are, I think, as a country. There's a lot of unrest here. There's certainly some unrest in Canada too, Paul, I know. But, we have a growing national debt, and Tom and I were having this discussion of $30 trillion, 30 trillion. Now, if you stop that debt right now and divided it up between every American, that would mean in our households, Jennifer and I would have to pay $90,575 about an hour ago to pay off the debt. And the clock's running all the time. So that 90,000 is probably 90,600 now. And so it's just running all the time. And so do you understand currency? Do you understand the Federal Reserve? Do you understand some of these things? Probably you do, and sometimes people don't. But if you look at a dollar bill, I'm holding up a $1 bill. I asked someone, what's written on that dollar bill? They said, "In God we trust." I said, "Yeah, that's right." But look on the front of that bill. What does it say? It says Federal Reserve Note. And right now, our Federal Reserve is not a federal entity. It's owned privately by different families. And they print money. They have the ability to print money and to make things happen. You know, when Richard Nixon was the president of the United States, we were on the gold standard, and he took us off the gold standard. All our money was backed by gold. And today, our money is backed by nothing. It's called fiat currency. And I want you to understand that. If you want to learn about the Federal Reserve, here's a book you should read. Very thick book, but the Federal Reserve was started on Jekyll Island, Georgia. Did you know that, Dave? Jekyll Island, Georgia. It's a privately owned institution. It creates the monetary supply for the United States. Also, the central banks around the world are owned by the same group of folks. They print money based upon nothing, and we use it to buy and sell things. And so at some point, when the money stops, what do we do? When the money is worthless, what do we do? Now go back to the question. Joseph, what would you tell me I should do to prepare myself? So I want you to read this book, The Creature of Jekyll Island. That's how the Federal Reserve got started. And it's a privately owned institution, just like Federal Express. The Federal Reserve is not owned by the federal government. Sounds like it is, but it's not. Okay. And so my thing to you is when our money becomes worthless, we're looking at inflation and deflation at the same time in our society. The cost of things is rising. You see truckers now striking and so forth. And is that going to disrupt the supply and demand chain? Probably so. And so what I would tell you to do is have a little silver. Let me give you another. If you study the currency market like I do, the largest deposit of silver is in Mexico. So before this is all over, Mexico will be one of the richest countries in the world. Isn't that funny? Isn't that the way God uses the simple things to confound the wise? And so Mexico has always been known as an underdeveloped, poorer type country. And I'm gonna make a prophetic prediction that Mexico will be one of the richest countries going forward because of their silver deposits. All right. Silver is now trading about $27 an ounce. I'll tell you before the year's out, silver will double per ounce. All right. And so there are a lot of things happening. What would I do? What would Jennifer and I do? Well, number one, we'd have some silver. We'd have some food supply and some water on hand in case the supply chain got interrupted. And we would have even the fiat currency. We would have some of this on hand. Take, for instance, today is President's Day in the United States and the banks are closed. What if they didn't reopen tomorrow morning? What would you do? Right? It's a good question. And so I think being prepared is always a good thing. And I had somebody ask me that question, and I wanted to share that with all of you. And, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I just want to be prepared. I want to be prepared to take care of my family and tell my family what I know so that they're prepared. And you guys are my family. And so, hey, if the banks didn't open tomorrow, I'd probably have $4,000 or $5,000 worth of cash, and I'd probably have some, or you don't need to have that much. I'd probably have some food on hand that lasts me, several weeks, and some water and some silver coins that I could trade for something in case this fiat currency people wouldn't want to take it anymore. Does that make sense? Does this make sense to all you guys? And so I say this to tell you that my friend Tony Fightmaster, and on his side business, deals in silver, some silver products. And Tony, I know you and I've had some conversation about that. I'd like for you to weigh in and tell me a little bit. And please, you can feel free to disagree with me, or you can feel free to say something contrary to what I say, because I look to learn from you guys too. I'm just telling you where I see things and where things are being positioned. But Tony, what are your thoughts on some of these things?
Well, Joe, I have to confess that I've been pretty ignorant most of my life, and I've been trying to learn from people like you. You know, I have other friends that have done very well. You know, most of my life's been in ministry, and I really haven't thought much about money, quite honestly. You know, I've been a part of some businesses because I saw that as a way to diversify, because you know, to be married, raise 4 sons like I have. 30 years ago, I realized instead of complaining about what I made in ministry, I needed to diversify and put on my big boy britches, so to speak. So that's what I started doing. And so I've diversified. I have a handful of businesses, but you know, again, those can go up and down. But in the last year, one of my friends who has way more knowledge than I do introduced me, and I shared a little bit about it last week, but he introduced me to a kind of like a Costco of gold and silver. They make their money by me signing up as a member of Costco, so to speak. You know, it's called 7K metals. But once you're a member, you get the best price you can get, and you can trust it, on silver bullion and gold bullion. And so you know, the little bit that I have, Joe, I'm going to be putting it that direction. The other side that I mentioned, that would be what we call defense, your defense against all this that you were just talking about. The other side of this is a business. Now, most people, 80% of the people, they're a part of this membership just to invest in silver and gold, either bullion or collectible coins, silver or gold. So the other side of that, the offense side, is collectible silver and gold coins that are minted, that increase in value because there's only so many made, you know, in that particular mintage. So I'm in the process of learning, Joe, and I decided to go into the 20% of that group, not just the 80%, so that I could create another income stream. And so I've been sharing it with people, letting them know, giving them information so that they know that, hey, if they don't have to have any interest in business, but if they'd like to get the best price on silver and gold bullion, this is something they can check out. So that I'm in the process of learning, Joe, and I've been listening to you and others. And so that's where I am right now.
Thank you. Put your email down in the chat if people want to contact you, Tony.
I will.
Remember when I told everybody the first time we did this meeting, we're going to create our own economic community. You know, and it's starting. There'll be thousands of people in this Insiders Club, and you'll be doing business with one another. And, you know, don't be offended if somebody talks about their business. You might not want to do business with them. That's fine. But at least you need to know what they're doing. So if you meet somebody who you think would want to do business with them, you can refer them. It's just the way the world goes around. And, you know, when Jennifer and I go to a really nice restaurant, you know what we do? We refer it to people. We tell people about it. You know, when we go to a nice production or something, or in Lisa's case, an art gallery, we tell people about it, you know? And that's how things are communicated. And in the most powerful way, things are communicated one-to-one, you know, because you can actually describe it and they can feel your emotion and they can feel a part of it. So that's really cool, Tony. I appreciate your input there. And you know,
Can I say something, Joe?
Mhm.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Not being a conspiracy theorist or anything else, but I had 2 travel agent franchise in the super Walmarts in Port Richey and Newport Richey, Florida on September 9th, 2000, when the 9/11 and how quickly things can change. Within about 4 hours, you couldn't pull any money out of money machines, ATMs, they were all closed. Within
Yes.
about less than 8 hours, they were bone dry in the panic. So
Yeah.
just, just witnessing that, and that's 20 years ago now, but
Yes.
you got to be prepared and look at the past and the history to see where potential things could come in the future. I just want
Yeah.
to throw that in there.
Thank you. Let me also teach y'all something about finance, the things I do. If you read about it in the Wall Street Journal, it's already happened. If you read about it in a financial publication, it's already happened. You need to know where the trends are going by someone who knows where the trends are going, and you need to be able to get in and participate. And so a lot of times it's like I tell people, who are you listening to? What news are you listening to? Well, I'll tell you straight up, Jennifer and I don't listen to the news. We just don't, because it's old news and they're using it to divert our attention somewhere else. And so you look at what's happening in Ukraine, you look at that, and I have to ask myself, knowing that the United States has $30 trillion of debt, and all the things that are happening in the financial markets, is that something to divert my interest away from what is really happening in the financial markets? And so just be smart. Ask God to give you wisdom. And when we prepare, ask God to show you what you do to protect yourself and your family for what might come. And that way, when I approach it that way, I feel good about it. So anyway, Tom, you were saying something? Okay. Paul, you living in Canada, tell us the recent developments up there. We hear a lot. Is there anything you could shed light on the financial situation in Canada?
Well, I think there's gonna be a somewhat of a lockdown here coming up just because of the protests with all the truckers going on. And I think with the Prime Minister, pretty much arresting the general public, I think there may be a bigger protest on its way. So that could impact a lot of logistics. So we're not.
Yes.
The saying goes, if Canada is mad, then something's wrong, right? Because right. So it's like it's one of those countries, right? Canada is regarded as one of the friendliest countries. So if there's something's unrest in Canada, then that there are bigger powers in play. And I always ask the question, what's behind the curtain? And it's really apparent that they're trying to bring in some sort of agendas into play
Yes.
here.
Did you guys hear what he said? He says he always asks himself, what's really behind the curtain? What's really behind all of this? I said it a different way. What are they trying to divert our attention to really get their agenda done? And we're living in a different time of people trying to do things that weren't so overt earlier in probably our lives. Paul, thank you for that. Anybody got any comments on that? Tony Fightmaster, not to put you on the spot, but you're a minister. Let's say a prayer for Paul and his family and for all of our friends in Canada. And I want to come back to the trucker strike. Remind me, Mark Chua, to come back and address that, being from the trucking industry all my life. But Tony, I want to say a prayer for all the people in Canada. Jennifer and I have a lot of friends in Canada. Yeah. Paul being one, Gordon So being one. My oldest daughter married a Canadian. They live in the States, but we have a lot of family friends in Canada. And so, Tony, would you just say a prayer for all of our Canadian friends and protection over them?
Sure. Father, we just pause right now. We come to you. in your son's name, Jesus, and we just ask you to settle in on Paul and his family, on Gordon and his family, and you know the other friends that we have. Several of us have friends that we've met over the last few decades that presently live in Canada, and you know what's happening up there. You know what they're experiencing. People are fighting for freedom. They want to make their own choices, and yet there's some pushback here, and life is changing for a lot of us in North America. God, we want to lean in on you, and we ask you to step in and protect Paul and his family, Gordon and his family, and the others we're thinking about. We ask you to protect them. We ask you to give them wisdom and discernment on how they should handle each and every situation. Help them not to be caught up in any of the emotion, and yet walk in discernment and wisdom. May your spirit flood them so that they're aware of what's the right thing to do. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Tony. You know, the most powerful thing we can do for each other is encourage each other, let each other know we're there for each other, and to pray for each other. That's the most powerful thing. If somebody said they were going to give me money or pray for me, I think I'd just rather them pray for me. I really would. And because that's so powerful, it moves mountains. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the trucker strike. If you realize that society in the 70s in North America went on what is called just-in-time delivery. If you go in a Costco, they don't store anything. They don't have a warehouse. What they have is on the floor to sell. And so 10 days, 2 weeks of truckers not delivering food and food products and all that, it would shut down our society. And so we need to be people of prayer, and not be people who are scared, but be people of prayer, and pray for all the things that are going on, and just be prepared. That's why I wanted to tell you guys today. I've had a number of people over the weekend and early this morning asking me, hey, where are you positioned? What are you doing? And I just told you in a small way what I'm doing. And Jennifer and I and JL Capital, we're very invested in real currencies, global currencies. And so we know what's going on in the world. But, you know, we don't know what the diversion is always. And so we're always trying to figure out what the diversion might be and where we need to be to prepare. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today. Any questions? Anybody got any questions for me?
Hi.
Okay.
Maybe there's a question in here somewhere. We're talking today about, Tony was talking about gold and silver, and then talking about, Joseph, you said, just ask God to show you what to do. And with what's been going on in Canada and all the, confiscation of accounts, I've had a question for the past several months, actually, and I've asked it here and there about, whether it's better to take possession of physical metals or to have them in depository. And I've gotten general answers like, it depends who you trust. And I realize there's a risk either way. I was listening to somebody with some commentary this morning, and this relates to God showing you what to do. This person said, well, if you keep your precious metals in a depository, it can still be confiscated by the government. And I thought, if that's true, that's the answer I've been looking for all this time. And it's amazing how God just brings the information that you need to know, that you ask for and pray for in his own right time. So I want to thank everybody for these various messages today. Yeah.
Well, I think even I heard Tony say about silver coins, even having silver coins that are, silver and things that you have that you could trade for later on. What if a loaf of bread went to $50 with inflation? I mean, you gotta think. You don't have to be afraid that these things are going to happen. You just need to be prepared.
You have to have it safe, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I never played a baseball game against a team at a high level without knowing what every hitter liked to hit, without who would try to steal on what pitch. That's called preparation, right? And it's the same thing you apply to your business and your personal life. You prepare, and then you sit back and say, okay, God, I've done what you told me to do. I'm going to trust you, right? And what I wanted to do, thank you for that, Shane. And what I wanted to do with this little exercise today in the Ask Joseph Land Insiders Club show is to just challenge you guys to think differently and to not be complacent, to think outside the box. I have these conversations with the clients I work with all the time. Lisa Lawrence and I had this conversation, first one we've ever had, about silver and these kind of things. And people are waking up to what's going on, and people are aware of what they need to do. And if you look in the Depression, the Great Depression, people that had gold, there was a presidential order to confiscate all the gold. And if you didn't give up your gold, you were subject to fines and imprisonment. And so I'm saying have some in a drawer under the bed or something at home, so you can protect yourself and take care of your family. And I want it in my possession, right? And I'm gonna tell you one more thing. And again, this is a private discussion, but when Jennifer and I travel, she asked me, she asked me, or either I'll ask her, do you have our stuff? Do you have our currency? And we'll carry it with us when we go somewhere, enough to survive with if we couldn't get back, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to be prepared. And
Joseph, can I ask something?
Sure.
May I? Okay, I think we might be running out of time here, so this might be something for next Monday. But I
Okay.
was wondering how Truth Social figured into all this. So maybe that's like opening a big door for a big topic for next week. But I've been trying to figure that out, and I haven't heard very many lengthy conversations on it. I've just heard that it's going to be the new networking trend and a way to keep people from getting censored.
That's a great thing, and we'll talk about that next week. Justin is probably more astute than anybody I know. Justin, would you be
Cool.
prepared next week to talk a little bit about Truth Social? That's one of the new social.
I think that's I think that started this week. It went online, I think it was yesterday or the day before. And it looks like a interesting platform, something that will be less with the censorship and less with the traditional media platforms. So, sure.
Right. Thank you. We'll talk about that next time. And guys, if you will, if you have questions, if you are timid and don't want to ask the questions on the show, just send me an email and ask the questions, and Tom and I will cover them next week. But Tom, I'm going to throw this back to you and have you finish up the show. We're about an hour and 10 minutes, and I want to honor everybody's time. But the conversation has been so brisk and so good today. I want to thank you all. God bless you all.
The subject matter that we talk about today can be very difficult for tomorrow. What you face today can change in an instant. Let me tell you right now. There's a major event. I put it in the chat box. It's happening tonight, this afternoon. Go and check that out. What we face right now is not the same thing. And we're in the biggest paradigm shift that you will ever find. COVID has created a whole new environment, a whole new economy that nobody else can be able to fathom. And these subject matters that Joseph is talking about right now are going to be things that you are going to want to talk about, you know, how to protect yourself, how to set up, like Coach Tony says, a great offense and a great defense. So let's talk about these things together and share with each other, you know, how this is transpiring. And I do want you to say a very special prayer for a very good friend of mine, Marcia Meredith, today. We'll need your prayers. She's facing something right now that is another paradigm shift. And as an asset wealth manager and people that are connected to the top level bankers and financial institutions in the world, today is a pivoting day for justice to win. So keep people in mind that are fighting for you and fighting with you and connecting with you, because all of us need to stand together.
Yes.
Honestly, we do, and come together. Thank you so
Amen.
much for being here. I've enjoyed this time together with each and every one of you. And I did put in, people asked me about my contact information, that's in your chat box. So thank you very much for being here. Joseph, man, I tell you what, phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Thank you so much for adding so much value to our lives every day.
Thank you. Love you guys. See you next Monday. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.